Three things are inevitable in life: death, taxes, and Hallmark Christmas movies. Not every movie is packed full with impressive CGI characters, fantastic new worlds, scripts that have been rewritten for years on end, and budgets in the hundreds of millions. Some production houses are more familial and cozy than others, especially when their movies target a demographic of people that expect to experience stereotypically wholesome movies. Take off your mocap suits and throw your Airy Alexas in the trash. Today we will explore the holiday miracle of mass-produced Hallmark Christmas movies. I do want to take a brief moment here and say that while we might be overly sarcastic in this video, in no way are we trying to detract from the work that goes into making these movies and the fact that it does keep a lot of people in our industry employed. So please, if you do work on these movies, take no offense as we look at perhaps one of the most uniquely insane productions ever conceived. Hallmark is a company with a history going back over a century. First founded in 1910 as Hallmark Cards, they initially focused on production of postcards and gift cards, but over time they expanded their business into many other fields, television in particular, beginning with a show under their sponsorship, the Hallmark Hall of Fame, in 1951. After the Hall of Fame had bounced between various networks over the decades, Hallmark decided to branch out by forming a media subsidiary of their own, Crown Media Holdings, in 2000, and rebranded it as the Hallmark Channel. In 2009, Hallmark launched their Countdown to Christmas programming series where TV screens would be bombarded with artificial holiday cheer, and it has been a recurring theme of the season ever since, growing and growing in popularity sort of every year. And this is where we kind of get into the process of how do they make these movies? What better place to begin with than the writing and the pitch process? The biggest piece of advice given to writers of these movies is if you want to see your movie greenlit by Hallmark is to not go too crazy with it. Even when a script is greenlit, producers go through the script with a fine-tooth comb and remove any potentially expensive aspect of the production process, including hiring too many children actors, babies, expensive locations, extra characters, and even animals. On average, the whole movie only has a budget of around $1 to $2 million. Pair this with the fact that this small budget allows you to hire non-union crew, which means you can pay less for camera operators and other crew members. Typically, they only have a crew size of 15 to 20 people for the entire movie, and often many of the crew will sign on for several movies at a time and just go from one production to the next production. If you can hire Canadian actors for your movies as well, you get a tax break. And a lot of the filming is actually done in Canada because of the tax breaks and supposedly the non-union aspect of it, but we'll get into that part later. The crew is tasked in creating a watchable, inoffensive movie with roughly 90 to 120 minutes of runtime.
I think he needs a little diaper change.
We may have to evacuate the store.
The writers and actors conduct their work under a strict set of guidelines. Be romantic, but not too sexy. Be funny, but not too funny.
Your nutcracker needs to be 36 inches from shoe to chapeau.
And limit the kissing to just one scene.
Important note about that boyfriend at the beginning of the movie, you know, the person who's not quite right for them, probably like the big city person.
Yeah.
They can't be too evil because all of, as you said, all of Hallmark movies have to be super mild with no conflict. So even if they're the wrong guy, it's not because they're actively bad. They're just not the right guy for this, you know, small town girl who falls back in love with her high school sweetheart.
These are productions designed to reach as broad of an audience as possible. Anything perceived to be divisive is out, especially when it comes to politics and religion. But what makes it in are many Christmas decorations anywhere the viewer may look, with every bedsheet and towel sporting designs and patterns that invoke the Christmas spirit. Some blockbusters even centering around certain articles of Christmas clothing, such as the should-be Oscar-nominated movie Never Kiss a Man in a Christmas Sweater.
Chocolates. I like chocolate. Everyone likes chocolate. But I didn't know how much I would learn to love chocolate.
Now, you might expect when making a Christmas movie, filming in winter would usually be a must, but no. Hallmark has a seemingly endless catalog of movies that they broadcast day in, day out during the holiday season, and to do that, they film their productions all year round, including in the summer.
While the finished product might look like a winter wonderland, the weather outside is actually frightful. They're filming during summer in the suburbs of Salt Lake City, so instead of preparing for icy conditions, they're taking heat wave precautions.
As Hallmark star Nikki DeLoach once commented for Empire Online, the best acting I've ever done in my life is pretending that it's cold on a 95-degree day.
We have to pretend like we're really cold when we're really warm.
Oh my gosh, it's so cold outside.
Burr.
To sell the Hallmark Christmas spirit, fake snow has to make its way to the set in one way or another. In the past, ice shavings from the local fish markets were used to create artificial, fishy-smelling snow. Nowadays, it seems that they use some sort of foam that seems to melt within 15 minutes. They have to get their shot really quick or put it all back up again.
You heard her right. These guys' job is to let it snow using a big tank and hose. They spray the set with foam so every shot looks like a winter wonderland.
Trying to stay warm.
But in this heat, it melts off in about 15 minutes.
Speaking of sets, Hallmark reuses many of them. A lot of small towns in the Vancouver area get visited and revisited by Hallmark film crews throughout the year. The village of Fort Langley, with a modest population of 3,400, welcomed the Hallmark movie makers into their community for at least 10 different shoots. Since around 40 Hallmark Christmas movies materialize annually, they might get revisited for the coming year's Christmas movies again. Now that we've got a script and a crew, and a location scouted out, the question becomes, what cameras do they use for a series with such a limited budget? When it comes to the gear used for Hallmark Christmas movies, we've seen all sorts of crazy camera setups in the pictures and behind-the-scenes videos we've watched for this episode. Most of the time, oddly enough, it seems as if the cameras are covered up, not allowing you to get a good look at exactly what the camera is. But our Discord group came to the rescue and identified a couple of cameras, including Canon C300s, Sony cameras, and even an Arri Alexa, which, to be honest, I don't know why you'd need that camera to film something like this. Sure, Arri makes absolutely great cameras, and they are perfect for a production environment, but I will say it does feel a bit overkill to use something that you'll never really be able to take full advantage of, especially with the color science in the camera, as most Hallmark movies have, your typical bright, cheery, and overly saturated look to them, as most reality TV shows do, but with just a bit more polish to them. So sure, totally fine to use an Arri camera for these movies, but at the end of the day, you could get away using a less expensive camera and save yourself a bit of money in that $2 million average budget you get. And to be fair, this is not a knock against the post-production crew at all because of the time constraints they face, and that's the next aspect of this we will get into, the editing. In the edit, producers are paid on delivery of the movie, giving extra incentive not to play around too much with the edits. The mass-produced nature of the Hallmark movies means that creating these films is hard. The actors and crew alike work long hours and throughout the year.
Okay, Mistletoe, come back. Okay. Mistletoe, come back. Where's the Frisbee?
Additionally, every stage of production, including writing, editing, has to be wrapped up fast. The main man, Brendan Elliott himself, was even quoted saying, "You could get a script on Monday and be on a plane Wednesday." Reportedly, the average time for filming Hallmark movies is just 15 days, with the actors considering having 2 takes to film a scene a luxury. And then, even before they finish this one movie, they're already prepping for the next shoot. And that's because in 2022, Hallmark made around 31 new Christmas movies, adding to a reported 400 Hallmark Christmas movies to be shown in 2022. Filming dozens of Christmas rom-coms in a year is a serious business, and due to the nature of the shoots, Hallmark blockbusters tend to feature the same faces over and over again in the same kind of roles. Some of the actors who occur the most in these productions are Brendan Elliott, being in 23 movies, Andrew Walker being in 21, Lacey Chabert having been seen in 27, and the queen of Hallmark herself, Candace Cameron Bure, previously of Full House and Fuller House fame, having starred in 30 movies before leaving Hallmark, and having been an executive producer after her 5th or 6th acting gig for the company. Anyway, Hallmark movies may only take $2 million to produce, but from them, the company rakes in an impressive amount of money from advertisements, having made $600 million in ad revenue in 2018. But that doesn't mean some form of scale backs aren't doable. You don't have to tip that quality versus quantity scale all the way back to produce some good filmmaking. Just make things a little closer to being even. Maybe then Hallmark could shake off their production style of being the shovelware of movies. Besides maybe the Sci-Fi Channel.
This is for America, baby!
But what if you aren't interested in shovelware or rom-coms? You could always lean more into the blockbuster style with something like Avatar 2. So if you're interested in crazy underwater technology used to make movies and film, check this video out where we talk about how they shot Avatar 2 in the 30-year process behind making it.